It's January 30th, 2023. They have this thing on the seal of the United States of America, or on the seal of what the FBI uses, about fidelity, bravery, and some other word, I forget. And there's this thing coming on MeTV today. It's called Tune In With Me. Now I'm looking at it, and the episode that they put on today was Quizzer, Quizzer, wants a spin off. Now, when I'm talking of, like, if I'm thinking of polarity of the planet and the magneticism and the energy field, whether it be truancy or whether it be somehow harnessed in a different way in the dark energy field, and the effects that it has on the human it is, again, to get to that level when you have to report like a paranormal event where, I mean, this is where birthdays actually matter. And they knew my birthday was incredibly unique and special on the calendar system. Again, in like the old romantic, like, I mean, in a poet somewhere spoke of, in some archaeological or anthropological context, about the gods and humans, about how the gods knew the stars. They knew when the planet was humming and in the correct tune, when it was off. They ruled over the stars for whatever period they're speaking of, in whatever symbolic gesture. I was born in this manner to have this special child and become the special clock and ruler. I can't help it. I mean, it goes also back into gateways between this world and another, between the planets. I mean, these are like deeply symbolic and restorative and religious scripts. I know my grandfather was able to study and knew them. I don't know why I was not given an elaborate whatever here. I don't know if it was for my protection and safety. I don't know if it was something to do with what looks like an insurgency here. I mean, it's all quiet and coexistence until somebody harms my person and my body. And then all of a sudden it becomes some form of warfare. I have a different birthing order and plan than the rest of humans. The humans that I was brought to the Glen, they explained that to me. I just don't know why executive director, agenda, and planning wrote me into some almost tragedy as opposed to lifting me up and honoring me and this child in some better life frame or lifestyle, or integrated into some other system, some other star system that knew and was awoke to the fact that regardless of where my body and his are, We are still that ruler over the stars and a measurement system from this world into the future world. It's a spiritual arrangement with the earth and with whatever exists. It's something to be protected and to admire, but also to care for. And I'm not having that. It's been a lot of isolation without much physical contact. And then the poor excuse for physical contact. I mean, it's toxic and it's tragedy. So anyhow, I'm watching this one version on Cartoon Network of however they're trying to communicate, whomever they are. They've got the tuna, which I looked up. What does tuna mean? In like a holy mackerel kind of a way. And on here, there is the most ugly polyester suit in a light blue. It is the exact suit that one friend that I had from St. Dominic's, the one friend that I had from St. Dominic's that I befriended, but everybody else hated, who was tall and thin. And she was pretty. She said she modeled. I didn't know for what or for whom, but she had on the most atrocious but stuck out polyester blue suit. And she took me to some place in Levittown to try to, I mean, like, again, the high school, I mean, St. Dominic's didn't have, I mean, pickings were slim. Let's just put it this way. No matter where I went, I don't know why. And so this very particular suit that she had on, and she was the one who took me to Rutgers. I didn't know what a Rutgers was, but that's where her brother was going to university. Same person who got me the waitressing job. Her father worked at OK Petroleum, and she got me the waitressing job at the Imperial Manor in Plainview. Happened to be where I was born. Also the same person who left St. Dominic's, went back to public school, and got to be an RN straight out of high school, which when I attempted it, there were all these roadblocks. I couldn't get in, but she got in straight out of high school. So that's really confusing in like lower conscripts of how to explain. I remember we went to Rutgers. I don't really remember much of the Rutgers trip. It was one of those meetings that it happened. I just have very little recall in memory of what transpired on that trip there. But the suit is up on this MeTV in whatever episode, and then it goes into an episode of The Inspector, which has like almost like this underlying like cliche French accent. It has a red, white, and blue French flag, almost, or what they interpret. But the helper of the inspector, again, it feels very Alibaba and 40 Thieves, I have to be honest. The inspector's helper, even though this supposedly takes place in France or has some French connotation or cliche markings, he keeps speaking, if I say tedesco, spraccia, Spracha Español, or Spanish in Anglais, as opposed to en français. Um, and I'm listening, and he's got the helper who's got this very Spanish or Mexican undertone when trying to be assistive or helpful to the French person, or the cliche French person. But I don't really see, again, there's this painting of these helpers that are also very confusing at the moment, being at the level that I'm being held within. Um, and they're telling this story through this cartoon about the coddled clam, and then the clam like starts having like ulcers and throwing out pearls. And I don't know if that goes back to like hand grenades and like a different conversation, but I'm just watching all of this unfold, and I'm just sitting here like, it seems like a really confused Magellan and Bering in one area that could anger and totally crush. But again, I've got stars and ruler measurement, and there's other things that are, I mean, in this tragedy, where was the planning for my rescue, for my ability to self-sustain? If they were going to spinster me into this tragedy and leave me here until my death, where was the self-sustaining ability through monetary service? Since there's like a whole lot of whatever going on. I'm also noticing I ran again today, but I'm again inside of my knee joint. I tried, speaking of polarity, I tried standing to build core strength back up. I just put on, and like, again, this is how far the pendulum has swung in my health paradigm. I'm standing on one foot, and a minute feels like forever. And it's really hard to hold. I'm so unbalanced, and the shifts are so tremendous, and it's arcing up my leg into my hip where my knee keeps, but it's movement within my plantar of my foot, straight up through the calcaneus into like the bursa of the knee, and then through the surrounding tendons and like quadriceps and glutes, trying to like pick up the seismic vibrational changes in the core, like sensation of the earth, and how I'm energy field now within, and being struck by I don't know what, almost feels like a hex of some sort. So I did 1 minute on one foot, then I did another minute on the other foot, to just try to regain some sense of balance, because I can feel these shifts. I can feel them in my joints, I can feel them in my muscles. I don't know if it's partially connective tissue deterioration, or if it's a high amount of vinegar. Again, that's a word in the same medical field that they use the word humor for like albumin or blood plasmas. So again, I want to stay in my lane on this, but I'm having a real big problem. And sometimes one set of medical terminology is not nearly enough. But I try to stay within the verse that I was taught at the Princeton level of medical reference book um, in the local community college. So, so I'm looking back. I think we went one night. She was wearing this very blue polyester suit. Her name was Lynn. We went to something called a McCahey's when she came out with this. I mean, like, it looked like a costume from the 1970s. I was like, Lynn, what are you, like, I'm embarrassed. Like, what are you wearing? But didn't bother her. She was out that night. She was wearing whatever she was wearing, and that was it. And I'm just like, it was so strange. But again, like, that's just humans, the ones that I have access to.
Hello again, tuners. Mr. Quizzer was just about to tell us his ideas for his very own spin-off TV show.
Some kind of game show, I assume? Please. Been there, done that.
So what will you be doing instead?
I'm thinking of...
So it had pockets just like this, and it was like this exact shade blue. It was so bizarre.
a gritty cop drama. Something like this.
In a city filled with crime, one man has all the answers.
Hey, punk. You probably thought today was your lucky day. Because it's time to play Lucky Punk!
And now he's teaming up with Canada's toughest cop, Canuck Bill. Hey, if it's not too much of a bother, and I'm so sorry for getting in your way here, but would you mind coming down to the station to answer a few questions, eh? They are Q and A, coming this fall to MeTV. Maybe.
So, what do we think?
Well, I think it's a little weird that you teamed up with Canuck Bill and not me.
It's awesome. Almost as good as my spin-off, Spin-Toonie. I'd watch that.
Hey, speaking of watching, it's time for us to watch another cartoon. Here's one featuring another crime-fighting duo, the inspector and his sidekick, Sergeant Doo-Doo, tracking down a villain by the name of Captain Calamity in Row, Row, Row Your Boat.
But row is spelled differently.
The elusive smuggler, Captain Calamity, had always managed to slip through our fingers. So when we received a tip that he had been seen somewhere near the waterfront...
They also, on the boat, they have the name Lou as the crab. Like, he's the crabby man. Oddly enough, my father now, he went out with one of his friends, Joe, and came back from, I think it was the Harbor Crab. And now he has a sweatshirt that says The Crab on his actual sweatshirt, which I'm like, you're missing a B and a Y on that, Dad. But again, just things that make sense only in my third dimension.
Sergeant Judo and I rushed immediately to the scene. Well, here we are, Sergeant Judo. Now we'll get to the bottom of worms, eh? Up here.
Oh boy, this is one of those bad days. I should have stayed in the wrong side of bed.
Hey, Captain Calamity, you know what?
What is it, Crab Louie?
I think I see cops.
Cops! I hate cops! You know how I hate them. You know how they irritate me. And you know what happens when I get irritated. See?
Now, is that pearls of wisdom? I'm again, girl with the pearl earring, just asking. But the other thing is this word cops. Like, that's the first three letters of Copenhagen if we're playing, like, geography. So is that where that came from? Like, and then they changed it to copper. Like, really? Like, the elements see you? Or, like, it gets at family-like quiz show.
I break out in pearls.
Clam down, clam down. After all, that is what we are smuggling, no?
Listen, Crab Louie, they may be pearls to you, but they're ounces to me.
We soon learned about the smuggler's ship, eh? She was anchored just offshore. Pull harder on those oars back there, Judo. That ship looked like it's about 10 miles out, and I want to reach her before dark. Faster. See? Faster. See? Ah, yes, I'm beginning to see her more clearly now. You stupid fool, are you going to sit there? We're sinking.
I go get a new boats and you wait right here, eh?
Next time I sit in the back end.
This is close enough, Judo.
See?
Don't say see, say we.
See, I mean we.
Ahoy there! This is the police.
What you want, copper?
I am coming aboard to search you. Drop a...
Which again is interesting that he references him as a copper. Because I'm like, he does not look anything Copenhagen. Anything I've ever seen from like Denmark, Sweden area that like reported into my face in the third dimension as such. Like, there's no resemblance to what's on the card. Again.
Very well, here she comes.
One more rowboat's coming up or going down. I don't know. We can't up anymore. What to do about it?
Now hold it steady, Judo, please. See, say we, not see.
Okay, boss. But you know, I think I'm getting a little wee sick.
That's see, not we.
I got enough sea already.
All right, all of you in there, don't move. This is the police.
That was just a warning, copper.
I think the inspector must be, you know, one of those guys, an underwater cover agent, one of those. Who? I don't know.
This way, if I sink, you sink.
See?
There they come again. I knew they wouldn't give up. I knew it.
Don't worry, mon capitaine. This time I fix those coppers real good, you bet.
Well, it's back to the dry dock, or the dry gooses. I don't know. I'm going to call Mom.
Now you understand, Judo. This operation calls for absolute silence. See, shut up, you fool, and another word out of you.
Hey, Inspector, is okay if I talk now?
It became obvious to me that this case did not present much of a challenge, so before I became bored with the whole affair, I decided to close in on the culprits.
Ooh, that's a cold Luger.
Put up your clammy hands. You're under...
Now that's confusing because I'm pretty sure Luger is associated with Germany in Tedesco. In Italiano, anyway. So that would be a German reference. That much the humans have taught me through their two-dimensional whatever.
Under arrest.
Don't shoot. I'll tell you anything you want to know. I'll squeal, I'll blab, I'll spill the works. I'll talk. Just try me. Ask me anything. I'll talk.
This is a clam?
Drop it, copper. Don't try to shoot it out. You got no place to duck for cover.
That is where you are sadly mistaken, monsieur. That will be sufficient. Now drop those weapons.
You heard him. Drop him.
Judo, dear boy, attend to the formalities of the arrest, please.
See, Inspector. Okay, you hombres, your goose is cooked. So don't fool around, because, oh boy, if you do.
Are you ready down there, Judo?
See,
I want you to tow this ship into port as evidence.
see, Inspector. Are you coming down now?
No, no, my dear boy, I'm going to ride on this one. Those little boats aren't safe, eh?
Okay, amigos. Start to roll pronto. Holy for holy. The poor inspector, he's sinking down in the sea.
Don't say see, say we.
So again, only form of message board that I have access to at the moment. I don't even know how to use the internet, really. I mean, I don't know where to go. I don't know what people listen to. I don't know how they vet that information. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.